Hey guys, today I will be showing you how to fix a hole along the seam of a pair of pants. This can be applied to a bunch of different garments, whether it is a top or a jacket, but we're looking for a rip right along the seam of the clothing, so not in the middle of the material. This is a super common problem, especially if it's a cheaper fabric, because sometimes those threads can come loose or pull. But today we'll be working on a pair of pants, and I'll show you a super easy and quick way to fix them. So let's get started.
All right, so these are the materials that you are going to need. So you can use a sewing kit like this that you could find at the drugstore or at the dollar store, or something that is found more at a craft store like this cotton thread. Pretty much anything that you have on hand is going to work. It's more about using what you have than buying new things. So you're also going to need the needle. Again, most people have this on hand. Finally, you're going to need the pants or the garment with the hole along the seam. So as you can see, it's along the seam here. All right, so as you can see, I already have my needle threaded. I don't like to do this on camera because it's kind of hard to do, but basically thread the thread through the eye of the needle. As you can see, my thread's also doubled, so this is going to make a big difference in something like pants that you don't want the hole to come about again, so it just makes it a little bit sturdier. So here I'm tying a knot. This is the way that I like to tie a knot. You wrap the thread around your finger twice and then pull those loops all the way down. It's a bit tricky, but it makes a really sturdy and hardy knot so that it's not going to slip through a thinner material like I have here. So yeah, you can use other knots, but this is just the easiest way, and it's what I was taught to do. All right, so I also have my hole here. As you can see, I'm on the inside of the fabric, so this is really important because you don't want that seam to show, and I'm going to teach you how to do a really easy whip stitch that's going to be really useful for those seams. All right, so let's get started on sewing the garment. As you can see, I'm inserting my needle about a centimeter over from where the tear begins to give a bit of an anchor so that that hole doesn't appear again in the same spot. So when you're sewing, bring your needle always to the same side over the top of that seam. This kind of mimics what's already there, and it's a really great way to sew seams, especially in pants because it's nice and strong. Keep your stitches close together so that there's no gaps on the other side, and just take it slow. If your thread is getting stuck on the knot or you're getting frustrated, that's okay. It's a hard process to learn, but just take it slow, deep breaths. There's no rush unless you're wearing it tonight, and even then, you should be done this process by then. As you can see, I am hooking my needle in a few rows down from where the fabric begins. This just gives, again, a nice anchor into the fabric so that that tear doesn't appear once more in the same spot. So just continue this process of looping your thread from one side to the other until you've made it all the way to the end of the hole. All right, so once you have reached the end of the fabric, I forgot to mention this last time, but we are working on the inside, as you can see the seam there. Once you've reached the end, you want to go just a little bit further like we did at the beginning to make sure that there's that strong anchor. And what you're going to do is you're going to insert your needle and do the same stitch, but you're just going to do it over and over again in the same spot. So this basically ties the thread without having to do any fancy knots, and it's a really easy way to create a strong bond at the edge of the tear because that is the part that might break the easiest. So as you can see, I'm doing it over and over again. It's very easy and simple once you get started. Once you feel it strong enough, like 7 or 8 times, give it a trim and leave a little bit of leeway for the thread. Give it a stretch test, and if it holds up, you're good to go. So as you can see, we're back to the right side of the material, and you can barely see those stitches that I did. They're a little bit messy because it's kind of hard to do on camera, but just keeping your stitches nice and straight should fix that problem. It basically blends in with what was done by machine, and you've done it by hand, which is really wonderful, and it's a great way to remain sustainable.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This is just another way to make your clothes last a little bit longer so that we can reduce the amount of clothing that goes into the landfills, especially with clothing being made a little bit cheaper. It's awesome to make them last longer. So go check out Hannah and Jackie's videos to learn a few more tips on how to make your clothes last for years so that you can continue to love wearing them. Thanks, guys.